there from the Mali team. Niakate gets himself into the referee's book for his actions there. Did say it did look a bit premeditated, so it's a yellow card.
Good afternoon. You are in time for the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma Udim. On sign language interpretation, we have Anne Wangeshi. Let's interact on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. This as President William Ruto is this afternoon in Trans Nzoia launching government projects. We'll be crossing over live in a bit, and I'm being informed we kick off from the county of Trans Nzoia, where President William Ruto is officiating a number of government projects in upgrading the region. Let's cross over and listen in.
Vijana wakwenda kufanya kazi, lakini mshahara ni 1,150, 2,200. Hakuna mtu ya hata kama ya watchman 1,100 inatosha. Ama namna gani? Si ndio? Ama mnasemaje? Si ndio? Kama mtu ajasaa mtoto yake, mtoto ya mwingine utapiga bei ya chini. Bana. Sije kama tunaelewana. Ndio mumeona last week, na mimi nataka nimshukuru waziri na Humicha. Huyu mrembo wenu hapa kutoka Trans Nzoia, huyu ni shujaa. Sasa last week tulipata the first group ya 2,500 nurses. Tunataka kupeleka Saudia. Tumetangaza tayari na mshahara ni karibu shilingi 1,200 kwa kila kijana. Sasa mujipange. Na tuko na nafasi kama hizo 500,000. Tunahitaji vijana wakwenda kufanya hiyo kazi. Hiyo ilikuwa advertise kwa gazeti. Wacha kuzubaa wewe mtu ya Molem. Unataka mimi nikuje nikufanyia application? Ukishaona kwa gazeti si unaanza kufanya application ama namna gani? Sijui kama tunaelewana. Tuko pamoja? So tunataka tupange hiyo kazi na tumepanga vizuri. Hata wale wanataka kwenda Marekani. Zamani ulikuwa lazima uende mpaka South Africa, huko ndio kulikuwa na examination center. Huyu mama wetu wa kutoka Trans Nzoia anaitwa Susan na Humicha. Ameenda akapambana, sasa wa Marekani wamekubali tuwe na examination center Kenya, na ilianzishwa jana. Pigeni huyu mama makofi. Ala. Amutaki kupiga makofi ati kwa sababu ni mama? Ndio. Kama mtu amefanya kazi si amefanya? Ama namna gani? So tutakuwa tunafanya examination yetu ya kupeleka nurses kule duniani hapa Kenya. Tumeelewana jameni? Na hiyo pia ni kwa mpango. Tumeenda tukapangana kwa sababu hii Kenya lazima tuipangie vizuri ndio tuweze kufaulu kama wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi nawaambia vijana wa taifa letu, tafadhali tukubaliane, wewe ukiona mahali kuna nafasi usichelewe, usingojee kuja kubembelezwa. Hakuna dunia ya kubembeleza watu. Kila mtu unafanya ile kazi umeona inatoshana na wewe. Ama namna gani ndugu zangu? Watu wa Trans Nzoia tumekubaliana? Mimi nakuja kuanzisha program ya housing. Tukimaliza ya Kitale, tutafanya hizi constituencies zote. Tutakuja tuweka program ya housing. Kwa sababu we want to change our country. Na tunataka kupeleka Kenya mbele. Ya mwisho, tulikubaliana na nyinyi, mimi nilisimama hapa Trans Nzoia. Nikawaambia mambo ya NHIF. Wale watu mnalipa 500. Mpango yetu ni kupunguzia wale watu ambao hawana mapato zaidi hapa chini. Badala ya 500 walipe 300. Si ni kweli? Na tulikubaliana kuna wale hata hiyo 300 hawawezi kulipa kwa sababu hawana uwezo. Si namna hiyo? Na tukasema hawa ambao hawana uwezo kabisa na ni kweli hawana uwezo, serikali ya Kenya iwalipie ili hata na wao wawe na bima ya afya, waende hospitali watibiwe, waende nyumbani bila ya kuulizwa pesa. Tumekubaliana? Mimi wakati nimetoka hapa mumepiga kura na mkaniambia hiyo kazi ni sawa. Nimeenda bunge nikapitisha hiyo kazi yote. Nikapitisha sheria 4, hao wabunge ni mashahidi wangu. Sheria 4 ya mambo ya universal health coverage. Sasa tuko tayari. Nilikuwa nafikiri tutaanza tarehe 1 hii Januari. Lakini kuna watu wengine wamenipeleka kotini. Ati hawataki ati turudishe bei kutoka 500 ati mpaka 300. Ati hawataki tulipie mwananchi mwenye hana uwezo. Hawataki serikali imulipie gharama ya NHIF. Ati hawataki tuwe na chronic. Si kuna watu hapa bado wanauza shamba na kuuza ng'ombe na kuuza mali yao ati kwa sababu wako na bila hospitali. Sasa tumetengeneza hazina maalum. Huyu mama na Khumicha ndiye anasimamia. Tunaelewana? Hazina maalum ya kulipa gharama ya kansa, hypertension, diabetes na ile magonjwa ingine iko na ujeuri mingi wanasababisha watu wa Kenya kuuza mali yao. Hata hiyo hawataki. Na mnajua ni kina nani hawa hawataki? Ni wakora wachache wamezoea kwa sababu walikuwa naiba pesa ya CDF ya NHIF. Na kwa sababu tumeweka sheria mpya. Hiyo sheria mpya huyu Magufuli atawaambia. Hiyo sheria mpya ni ya digital. Kumaanisha hakuna tena mahali mtu anaweza kuiba pesa ya NHIF. Sasa wakora wameungana. Wale walikuwa naiba hiyo pesa. Ati kuna hospitali moja iko kona mahali fulani. Ati wanatuambia wanafanya upasuaji ya watu kuliko ile inafanywa Kenyatta Hospital, kuliko ile inafanywa Aga Khan, na ni mtu wako kwa kona. Mkora. Mnaona hii dunia? Sijui kama naelewana. Ndio wamekusanyana, ndio mnaona mimi niko na vita na watu wengi. Wamekusanyana, wameenda kotini ati kuzuia hii maneno isifanyike, waendelee kuiba pesa ya NHIF. Mnataka waendelee kuiba pesa ya NHIF?
President William Ruto in Trans Nzoia County, this as he assures residents that the government will continue with the affordable housing projects, among other initiatives that will improve the livelihoods of the residents in the region. At the same time, Education Cabinet Secretary is this afternoon officiating an education forum in Karen. Let's cross over and listen in.
Is essential for attracting investment and driving economic growth. Education can help equip individuals with the necessary skills to contribute to the development of Kenya and the region. For this reason, the Kenya Kwanza administration has heavily invested in the process of implementing various education reforms, many of which are an offshoot of the Presidential Working Party on Education reforms. I don't have to go to each and every one of them, but you know they are far-reaching reforms, right from basic CPC, which we have been on the course of implementing, tertiary, our TVET institutions, we are implementing that. Even yesterday, when we were in Nandi and the parts of Wasingisu with this excellent president, we are following that to make sure that this country is able to produce the kind of manpower that we require, because the only most important resource that we have is none other than the human resource. And that's why, including university, we have come up with reforms which will ensure stability and also that our universities are able to provide the kind of quality education that we so much require. Given that, the 2023 KCPE code was derived under the 844 education system, where 1,000 scholarships will go a long way to push the 100% transition, since the government wants all the candidates to join Form 1, and there is no room for any one of them repeating Class 8 as was the case previously. I'm also happy for the support extended to students across all tertiary levels, not limited to university education only. The standards of international skills and professionalism are becoming more and more competitive. At the same time, the global economy is demanding the development of skilled human resources in an environment of innovation, values, integrity, among other parameters. Under the CPC, the government hopes to reduce wastage and ensure each learner has options for youth.
Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu officiating an education forum in Karen, where the KCB Foundation is offering scholarship to the needy and bright students. Now, in other news this afternoon, Pokot South Member of Parliament David Kosin was on Tuesday grilled for 6 hours by the police in West Pokot County over alleged inciting remarks posted on his Facebook page. Kosin's lawyer, Kimani Jackson, however, defended his client, asserting that the post was not meant to incite, but rather to express his concerns as a representative of the people.
Accompanied by his supporters, his lawyer Jackson Kimani, and a section of members of the West Pokot County Assembly, Pokot South MP David Posing, through his lawyer, maintained his innocence, adding that he intended to draw attention to the pressing issues affecting the people along the border of West Pokot and Turkana County.
Aliposti message kama representative wa people, hakuna vile ambavyo watu wake wangekuwa wanaumia alafu mheshimiwa nyamaze. Alipata hii information na kama kiongozi wa area hii ikabidi aongelee hiyo mambo. Na hiyo ni constitutional mandate yake kama mbunge wa area hii.
Before the arrest, the MP had posted on his Facebook page alleging that Kenya Defence Forces soldiers had taken away 100 cows belonging to members of his community and killed them. He further claimed that the soldiers had in a previous incident bombed and killed civilians. The MP expressed shocks at the summons, deeming them political and asserting that he had anticipated a response from the police regarding his Facebook posts.
I've asked our people to maintain peace between the Pokot and the Turkanas. We have been having a relative peace, but we cannot have peace when the government itself or the security agencies which are supposed to protect our people are bringing insecurity. What is this now?
West Pokot County Criminal Investigation Officer George Mutonya, however, observed that the MP was summoned on concerns that the words posted on his Facebook page could potentially breed discontent between the Pokots and their neighboring communities. He further stressed the ongoing nature of the investigations and urged leaders to refrain from making inflammatory remarks that could bring tensions within the general public.
Should weigh their words before they post them in the social media, because they have some followers, and such messages might bring some discontent among the general public.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
All right, the spouse of the Deputy President, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, has attributed a passion in combating alcoholism to the heavy loss the vice subjected her family to. She said she lost a brother and a brother-in-law to alcoholism and reiterated her clarion call for people to remain sober.
Speaking to students of the University of Embu, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi revealed that her dedication to the fight against alcoholism stems from the loss of her own brother and brother-in-law to the vice.
We have lost brothers to alcohol. We have buried them. My own brother and brothers-in-law. When I speak as one.
With a heartfelt plea, Pastor Dorcas urges students to stay sober, emphasizing her personal understanding of the devastating impact of alcoholism.
Please, I beg you, stay sober. Make right decision. Take the time and chance and use them properly.
Godfrey Mwago, a recovering addict and one of the beneficiaries of Pastor Dorcas's programs, shared his journey into alcoholism, recounting the loss of 2 jobs due to his struggles with the bottle.
I joined Timau Rehabilitation Center. I went to the rehab for 3 months, and in September, I left there. And up to now, I'm very sober, and I thank High Excellency for that. And since I left the rehab, High Excellency has not left me. We are with her together in the journey, and we will continue.
Pastor Dorcas is on a 3-day tour of Embu County, where her office is actively screening alcohol addicts for rehabilitation. Joan Junge for Lunchtime News.
500 bright but needy students in Kajiado County have secured scholarships worth 20 million shillings, courtesy of the Kajiado County government. Elsewhere, dreams of a 14-year-old boy to join Form 1 hangs in the balance in Juja, Kiambu County due to lack of fees. Here now is Joseph Ohungu with the details.
With learning in secondary schools entering day 3 in the country, 500 students from needy families in Kajiado County breathed a sigh of relief after the county government offered them scholarships worth 20 million shillings. The beneficiaries included 200 university students and 300 joining secondary schools.
Leo tumeweza kuzindua kundi la pili ya watoto 500 ambayo itafanya jumla ya watoto 1000 ambao county sasa imekuwa ikiwafundisha bure. Na muhula wa kwanza leo tumetoa milioni 20 ambayo itaenda kwa masuala ya scholarship.
Meanwhile, a 14-year-old boy who scored 373 marks risks failing to join Form 1 due to poverty. Francis Macharia, a resident of Babylon Village of Wetethia Ward, Juja in Kiambu County, and his mother Joyce Nyambura have desperately appealed to well-wishers to help him raise school fees for his admission at Chania High School.
Mipango ya kuingia shule sidhani kama itawezekana, sidhani haijawezekana kwa sababu mama ana pesa. Kisha tumejaribu mbinu zote lakini hakuna nyemefua dafu.
Francis ameperform vizuri, ameitwa shule ya upili ya Chania. Ingepatikana mhudumu mwema anaweza nisaidia na huyu mtoto aweze kusoma atimize ndoto zake. Nitashukuru sana.
Elsewhere, the future of a 19-year-old needy girl is in limbo after a scholarship she had secured from KTDA Foundation for her secondary education came to an end. Teresa Chepkoech, who hails from Chebaibai village in Keptiwit Bireti constituency, Kericho County, says despite scoring an A- in last year's KCSE, she might fail to join the University of Nairobi to study medicine and surgery.
Na ombi langu kwa kila mtu ambaye anasikia na ama kunitazama, ninaomba msaada yote kuanzia rais wetu na viongozi wote wetu, naomba mnisaidie niendeleze masomo yangu, niingie hata katika sekta ya udaktari na nizame katika masomo yote.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Joseph Wahungu.
Squatters at the controversial Moya settlement scheme have held a peaceful demonstration calling on the government to review the 2016 allocations. The squatters allege plans by some land officials at Kitiriri to issue titles for plots in the scheme before resolving outstanding grievances.
Hundreds of irate squatters took to the streets in protest of the allocation of plots of the controversial Moya settlement scheme. The squatters are in fear of strangers taking over and evicting them from their homes, a place they claim their grandfathers settled in the 1940s.
Moya settlement scheme, tuko hapo, tutazaa sana na tutaishi hapo milele daima. Hiyo ya kwanza.
Ati upewe title uende ukaonyeshe shamba yako mahali iko. Na mahali unaletwa ni kwangu. Mimi nitaenda wapi kama mwananchi wa Kenya?
Bwana DCC inapasa utuulizia serikali yetu kuu. Hii shamba wakati ilikuwa na buruka tulipoteza watoto wetu. Tunakuja kukufa tena.
The squatters presented a memorandum to the Deputy County Commissioner at Karaba. Muchuma MCA Philip Nzangi urged the national government to step in and resolve the dispute amicably to avoid a repeat of the alleged lopsided allocations in 2016.
Local leadership is ready and we shall be able to solve this problem even in a record 2 months. The only issue is we keep off the interest of whoever it is and take the interest of the common mwananchi that is living there.
Land board ni kweli ilikuwa ifanyiwe uapisho on 11th. Hiyo haikufanyika, lakini DC anaendelea kufuata, na sitting ya kwanza ilifaa kukua leo ya land board na ilifaa kufanywa hapa kwa DC, lakini unajua hawawezi fanya kabla hawajachukua oath.
Assistant County Commissioners Wanjiru Mudhuri and Florida Ntwiga received the memorandum on behalf of the DCC and assure the squatters that their grievances will be looked into, though the process may take time. Serafina Robi for Lunchtime News.
Residents of Karibarid B area of Thika constituency in Kiambu County are concerned about increased cases of crime by an armed gang that has been terrorizing them for the past 1 month. Here now is Edna Murungi with the details.
Households in Karibaribi area of Thika constituency in Kiambu County say they have been affected by increased criminal activities that are now giving them sleepless nights.
Na baridi hata manyumbani hata tukilala. Nyumba hii hatuwezi kutoka usiku.
The criminals are said to be breaking into their households at night and stealing household items.
Kila boma huku, boma kama 400, zile ambazo hazijaibiwa ni kama boma 300 ama almost 80%. Zote zimetembelewa na wezi na wakaibiwa. Saa hii ni wakati wa mahindi imekomaa, wengine wanavuna hata kabla haijakomaa kwa sababu hizi maharagwe inavunwa, nyanya, kila kitu inavunwa.
According to the residents, criminals could be using anesthetic drugs during the robbery incidents.
Hatujui kama ni madawa wanatuwekea, hatujui nini wanatumia. Wametuhangaisha sana, hata hakuna kulala siku hizi, tunalala in shifts.
They decried that despite locals having conducted security meetings, the crime is still rampant, forcing them to opt for night vigils to secure property.
Tungetaka kuuliza wale wanahusika na kulinda watu kama polisi hii iko hapa Karibaribi na our MCA, our MP wajue kunaendelea nini. DCC anataka tumie DCI tujue kunaendelea nini kwa sababu hawa waizi wanaonekana hawaendi bali.
Edna Murungi for Lunchtime News.
Residents and the business community in Chani, Changamwe sub-county in Mombasa County are up in arms over alleged harassment by police officers. The residents have singled out a police officer attached to the Chani police station for his alleged brutal practices that have instilled fear in them. Muslim for Human Rights Rapid Response Officer Francis Ouma said they have received numerous complaints from the residents and urged the Inspector General of Police to weed out rogue officers from the police service and IPOA to speed up investigations in the matter.
Mimi nikawafuata polepole mpaka mahali kunaitwa TCA. Nikaenda nikauliza ofisa wa polisi, apande hao vijana wamewashikia nini? Aliniambia usiniulize maswali na akanichapa hapa kichwa na ile nyini ya Masai. Mpaka hiyo njiche ikawa sioni, nikaslai kidogo.
Tumepata visa vingi sana vya watu raia kuonewa na polisi, watu kuharakishwa, watu kupigwa na hususan na polisi wa Chani. Licha ya hapo au ni wafanyi biashara wako na hofu mwingi sana. Mfano uliowahi ni Martin ambaye alipigwa akaumizwa kabisa. Hii ni tocha. Kama wewe ni polisi, mtu ana makosa, peleka yeye kotini. Hauna ruhusa na sheria hairuhusu kupiga mtu.
Tunahimiza wananchi na maafisa wetu wadumishe uhusiano mwema. Kama kuna jambo lolote wajaribu kusuluhisha. Ama kama kuna mwananchi amedhulumiwa, ofisi yangu iko wazi, tutasikiza yeye mali shida imetokea ni wapi, alafu hatua tutachukulia.
The National Museums of Kenya has rolled out an Indigenous knowledge documentation and digitization project to store data and on culture, food sources and native products that are slowly fading away. The project, dubbed Natural Products Industry, would allow communities access to traditional knowledge and generate income besides improving livelihoods. Director General, National Museums of Kenya, Professor Mary Gikungu, says the project, which is in its early stages, has seen intellectual assets in 9 counties digitized, with the urge to establish cottage industries in the country. Kilifi, Makueni, Murang'a, Wajir and Turkana are among the first beneficiaries of this said venture.
We want to see this particular project benefit people from the grassroots and even people in the business. When you talk about intellectual assets, we are looking at medicinal plants, we are looking at food sources, we are also looking at the cultural expressions that are very important for us to see how best we can package them for the benefit of Wajiko.
Residents of Baolala Township in Kilifi County took to the streets to demonstrate against what they term negligence from Kenya Power after the company failed to solve a month-long power blackout. The residents barricaded the Malindi-Salagate Road that leads to the Savo East National Park at the Baolala Junction and disrupted transport for the better part of the day.
The protesters complained that they had incurred huge losses as their businesses had been affected by the lack of electricity since December 17th last year, when the only transformer serving the township became faulty and was taken for repairs by Kenya Power personnel.
Biashara zenyewe ni za mikopo, tunataka tulipe mikopo. Tutalipa nini mikopo yetu kama stima hakuna?
Biashara yangu ni hardware. Niko na machines ambapo ziko pale ambapo zinatumia moto. Mwezi mmoja sijafanya kazi, bao zinalala tu hapa.
Tourists visiting the Savo National Park were caught up in the midday protests as several roadblocks and barricades were put up by the protesters as they complained that essential amenities like hospitals and educational institutions were affected by the blackouts.
We're technical. Sasa tunapata shida sababu admission haiendelei. Wanafunzi wanapata shida, hawezi soma nyumbani. Cyber hazifanyi, we cannot print our documents from school. So we are pleading about Kenya Power. It's the right time sai mrudishe stima.
Hawa watu wa Kenya Power hawa watuletea hata kama ni Kenya, hata kama ni transformer kama 2-3 hivi. Hii moja ikichapa, hii nyingine inaweza kutusafu hapa Baolala.
They however called on the utility firm to install a new transformer and restore power, since some businesses that rely on electricity have been forced to shut down. For Lunchtime News, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
6 minutes past the hour. Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. We're taking our first commercial break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Get ready for the captivating return of the FKF Premier League, exclusively on KBC. Brace yourself for the thrill of football as 18 teams battle it out for glory. Every week, KBC brings you not one, but 2 heart-pounding matches, delivering the best football action right to your living room. The stakes are higher than ever. The league champion takes home a handsome prize of 5 million shillings and also earns the honor of representing Kenya in the prestigious CAF Champions League. Feel the adrenaline, experience the suspense, and join the roar of the crowd as we celebrate the return of Kenya's football legacy. The FKF Premier League, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 and KBC radio stations. Save the date, mark your calendars, and get ready for the ultimate football spectacle. Coming to you live only on KBC. KBC, your true sports partner.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
Work here. Good shift being put in by Amotenya. To the box area. This could be a good opportunity. A chance for a header. And once again, to the rescue.
Lloyd Kadhapwa. Africa, please remember this name. Lloyd Kadhapwa. Keeping Namibia in the game. Once again.
After save after save. Big decisions made, and many times he has had an answer for everything that the Eagles of Carthage have thrown his way. Simply breathtaking, absolutely amazing. And another corner here. But this time the contact made is not up to the scratch, and the ball just goes away for a goal kick. Frustrated game here tonight for the skipper, Yusuf.
Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. Welcome back. Now, residents of Isiolo South constituency have benefited from a project by the Merte Integrated Development Project, MIDP, that is issuing local groups with dairy goats. The program aims at ending malnutrition among children, promotes climate-resilient economic practices, and encourage diversification of farming practices. 2 groups from Kina Ward have already received 18 dairy goats and training on how to rear them.
Now they will keep it for a while so that they will increase now even the number of herds, and in future maybe they will venture into this business that they will sell to other farmers groups so that they will benefit from that.
Ni mbuzi kidogo ambaye tunaweza kumanage, tunaweza kupanda kwa sababu tuko na nyasi kwa store. Itaweza kusaidia watu hapa, itapunguza malnutrition na pia itakuwa kama income generation activities kwa kikundi.
In future tunaona after 5 years to come tukipanga plan zetu, tunaona kama mara nyingine sisi ndio tutakuwa pioneer ya kununuliwa halafu kupewa kikundi zingine.
Tumepewa mafunzo ya vile watalisha, vile wataweka, kwa sababu maana hii dairy goat ni kitu mpya kwao.
Jomvu Member of Parliament Badi Tolib has launched an empowerment youth program to nurture youth in sports and as a way of creating employment through sports. Speaking during the launch of the Jomvu football team, the legislature has embarked on the program of rehabilitating and constructing sporting facilities in its constituency in a bid to nurture talent among the youth.
Kuangalia mambo ya michezo haitakuwa football peke yake. Tunarekebisha hapa kwa Share Social Hall ili kuangalia mambo ya table tennis na michezo mingine kama taekwondo. Tunaweza kuwafundisha watoto wetu wako pale. Hapa staff hivi sasa tunataka kuanzisha pitch ya basketball ili kuona watoto wetu watawasaidia vipi kucheza mambo ya basketball. Pale Miritini World Bank School Kuna timu nzuri sana ya rugby ambayo hivi sasa tume-earmark, tutaka tuone kwa tumewainua hao watoto wapate kwenda mbele. Sisi hatutaki tena we play mazee. Tunataka kuona kwa watoto wakicheza mpira watajirishe. Watoto wakicheza mpira wachukue to the next level. Tumeweka 300,000. Sio hata tutaweka. Ziko pesa 300,000. Na safari hii tutaweza kufundisha makochi wetu na vile vile tutaweza kufundisha hawa ma referees wetu.
Welcome to Channel 1 Business. The government will authorize importation of 4 million bags of maize to plug a projected shortage this year. Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono says Kenya is facing a potential maize deficit despite the good rains, and plans are underway to import maize to stabilize maize prices.
Despite good rains experienced last year, Kenya is facing a potential maize deficit of 4 million bags. Agriculture Principal Secretary projects that 44 million bags of maize were harvested against an annual average demand of 48 million bags.
So in a year we are talking about close to 48 million bags of maize every year. Our production this year is 44 million bags. It means we'll have a shortage of 4 million bags.
To stabilize maize prices, the government will issue licenses for maize importation once the National Cereals and Produce Board mops up available maize from farmers.
Because we need to make sure that we have our strategic food reserve stores store enough food for the dry season and also for the rainy season, so that we ensure that the cost of unga is maintained at a reasonable price.
So far, the National Cereals and Produce Board has purchased 64,000 bags of maize from farmers.
We have close to 64,000 bags of maize in our NCPP stores, and we are encouraging farmers to bring their maize, the surplus, to sell to NCPP.
Rono says plans are underway to increase food production in the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme, and already talks are ongoing with 5 new investors to invest in the scheme.
Very soon you'll be seeing us advertising for leasing so that we can attract the private sector to really use that land and work with government.
Benson Ruba reporting for Lunchtime News.
To money matters, let's cross over to a Nairobi hotel where we are having the findings of the national government's budget implementation analysis for the year 2022-2023. And my colleague, Irene Njega, is on that bit. Irene, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Muchuma. As you've rightly put it, this is a report on the findings and analysis of the financial year 2022-2023 that has been organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs together with the Institute of Social Accountability, that is TISA, and also the National Democratic Institute. And they've been talking about how the government spent the 3.37 trillion shillings that was allocated in 2022-2023 financial year, whether the government spent that money correctly and whether various agencies, departments and ministries also received the amount allocated for that financial year. And to break it down for us, we have John Muchuma, who is an economist at the Institute of Economic Affairs, who will tell us how the absorption was when it comes to this budget and also various allocations in different departments. Joining us right here, John, I would like you to tell us from where you sit and according from the analysis that you have done and from the report that you have shown us, what are the trends that you show that you saw in the 2022-2023 financial year?
Thank you. So what we did was basically share some insights as the Institute of Economic Affairs on our analysis of the budget implementation report that was generated by the Office of the Control of Budget for the financial year 2022-2023. We also provided a few insights for the first quarter financial year 2023-2024. Now, in terms of trends and insights, what we see is obviously a recurring challenge from the big picture perspective of the national government struggling to execute its budget. So like in the past years, the recurring issue is of underspending. Whereas the financial year 2022-23, there was an improvement in terms of overall expenditure spending or performance, which was about 95% compared to the previous year. So that's yes, an improvement, but indeed is a recurring challenge of underspending. And what this signifies is an effect, obviously. This has an effect on service delivery. And when you analyze it deeper, or when you undertake an in-depth analysis by breaking down expenditure into recurring and development, the challenge of underspending is actually more pronounced on the development expenditure side. So we've seen that almost 20% of the funds that were budgeted for development development expenditure was not spent by the end of last year, June 2023. So what that means is obviously that some of the projects, and there are projects across from education sector, which was one of the culprits, education sector, some in the infrastructure sector, some in the general economic and commercial sector, where you have the Ministry of Trade, Tourism, and so on, MSMEs and cooperatives. It means that some of the projects that were planned will not be executed or were not executed. So whenever you see stalled projects, whether it's some classrooms that were not completed, extensions of Kenya Medical Training College, labs, tuition blocks, as well as roads and other infrastructure like dams and so on, incomplete or stalled project is actually a symptom of under absorption of funds.
Okay. Yeah. So you saw this across all sectors, all key sectors that are critical to the Kenyans out there?
So what I mentioned is that for the entire development budget, about 19% of those funds were not spent. When you break it down by sectors, there are about 10 sectors of the economy. This challenge is more pronounced in the sector of education, public administration. Then you also have the general economic and commercial affairs. And within general economic and commercial affairs, you have the ministries of tourism, trade, and cooperative and MSME. So it means programs and projects within those ministries, some programs and projects were not executed optimally or fully. Yes, so that's that.
So what are your recommendations?
Delivery was actually affected in those sectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
From your report, what are the various recommendations that you are?
So in terms of recommendation, the key what attributes under absorption or lack of uptake of budget resources is obviously delays in disbursement of resources to the different ministries, departments, and agencies. So what the reports show and what our analysis revealed is that most of the disbursements or releases of funds, about almost 40% of the funds were released in the fourth quarter. So what that means is that these ministries, departments, and agencies had very little time to be able to utilize those resources. Yeah. And one can trace the delays to release of funds to revenue collection or performance in revenue collection. So in terms of recommendation, one of the things that ministries should do, obviously led by the National Treasury, is to ensure that they align the request of resources to the way revenue is collected. So revenue is not collected evenly across the quarters. We've seen most of the revenues collected in quarter 2, that is between October and December, as well as in quarter 4. That's between April and June, when most people are filing their returns. So requests for resources and the plans should be aligned to revenue collection patterns. That's number one. Number two, obviously, in terms of revenue, because revenue shortfalls is what leads to whatever. So there's need to have modest revenue projection, but at the same time ensure that we seal, in terms of reforms, improve revenue administration, seal leakages. But then generally there are a few things that the government is doing which will bear fruits in the medium term, like the introduction of national tax policy. Once that is approved, it will lead to predictability.
I know this is a conversation we can have for the longest time, and I will be giving you more details during the 9 p.m. bulletin on the analysis of the 2022-2023 financial year budget. Back to you in studio, Muchuma.
Thank you, Wairi Munjenga. Wairi Munjenga getting the information we need to know on the 2022-2023 budget. Now, in other news this afternoon, the diversification of the economy and a growing middle class has made Kenya attractive to foreign investors who are now looking to leverage available infrastructure to set up in the country. Egypt ambassador to Kenya, while Nasruddin Atir, says Kenya's favorable trade policies has positioned the country as a launchpad for companies eyeing the East and Central African markets.
The relative proximity between the two countries, trade routes are not that far. A ship would take about 14 days to move from Mombasa to an Egyptian port in Ain Sokhna. So I think it's not that long in terms of shipping, and there are other opportunities benefiting from the prices, benefiting from competitive prices that both countries can offer.
Kenya and Egypt enjoy very good trade relations, and this is what we as a bank want to stand for, and this is the reason you see us partnering with the Food Export Council of Egypt. With CIB Kenya, we've come together to make sure that we start to be the partner the go-to partner for this particular trade relation.
We're manufacturing chocolates, wafers, hard candy, soft candies, most of sweets, auto sweets. We are export in Kenya more than 10 years. And I hope to continue and open my range and export a lot of range. And Kenya is open to the East Africa countries. Okay, it's a gate to East Africa countries.
Kenyans are being encouraged to embrace e-commerce to help reshape the landscape of African trade and grow their markets. E-commerce platform Zandex Africa founder Frank Obabi says e-commerce offers a one-stop platform for businesses to connect, collaborate, and thrive.
National e-commerce strategy seeks to fortify Kenya's position as a digital frontrunner in Africa by fostering inclusive and widespread utilization of trusted and secure e-commerce services. Zando founder says the platform aims to empower SMEs by harnessing the power of internet and using cutting-edge technologies to enable business connect via online platforms.
The potential is there, and the magic will happen. It's taking time, but if everybody were about to believe in the technology, should be something like this year we should already see things. Our hope is that by the time we get to December this year, we would like to have 70% of Kenyan manufacturing online.
We will be looking at every place where there's friction, and we can solve it with technology. We'll try to do it with technology. But we also, of course, will still depend on input from everyone to give their challenges to us so we can give them the right solutions.
Obambi says Zando is designed to break barriers, provide a unified space for businesses to connect, trade, and expand their reach across Africa.
There is no other platform as of today that can support that or that can promote that kind of move than our platform. Because on our platform, I buy your price on your currency on the platform. So it's a really, really good platform to promote the intra-Africa trade to happen with our own currencies.
The business-to-business platform is expected to drive advancements in technology, supply chain efficiency, and market intelligence.
Let's buy made in Africa. How much do you need to spend to promote that? It's mostly about digital marketing, right? Think about how costly that can be.
Ndotamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
One Africa, one market.
Across the borders, China's economy slowed in the fourth quarter with a deepening property crisis, mounting deflationary pressures and weak demand, reinforcing expectations that Beijing will have to roll out more stimulus measures soon. Here now are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
Confounding most analysts' expectations, the world's second-largest economy has struggled to mount a strong and sustainable post-COVID pandemic bounce, burdened by the protracted real estate slump, weak consumer and business confidence, and mounting local government debts. Gross domestic product grew 5.2% in October to December 2023 from a year earlier, quickening from 4.9% in the third quarter. Highlighting some loss of momentum late in the year, on a quarter-by-quarter basis, GDP in China grew 1.0% in October to December, slowing from a revised 1.5% gain in the previous quarter. Meanwhile, Polish truckers have agreed to hold protests that have blocked several border crossings with Ukraine since November. Under the agreement, the Polish government has pledged to seek changes to European Union rules, secure European Union funding for transport firms, and introduce stronger enforcement controls on the Ukraine border. Representatives of the transport industry emphasize that if the results prove unsatisfactory, protests will resume. Polish truck drivers started to block border crossing on 6th of November 2023, complaining that their business had been undercut by Ukrainian firms. They asked the European Union to reinstate commercial permits for Ukrainian companies to operate in the bloc, which were waived soon after the outbreak of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Finally, more manufacturers are seeking to fly their products in the next few weeks as attacks on the Red Sea shipping corridor force them to find alternate routes, and potential boon for the aviation industry dealing with muted post-pandemic demand and overcapacity. The Red Sea, which leads to the Suez Canal, lies on the key east-west trade route from Asia's manufacturing hub to Europe and on to the east coast of the Americas. About 12% of the world's shipping traffic passes through the Suez Canal via its waters. While air freight prices have so far remained relatively stable as the shipping crisis coincides with a seasonal lull in demand, rates on the China to Europe route has surged 91%.
All right, it's time for us to get to the fields. Mali football team coach Eric Chelle says they will continue working hard after beating Bafana of South Africa 2-0 in their opening match at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. The victory sets up Mali nicely in Group E, but Chelle knows there are two big hurdles to come in powerhouse, Tunisia and Namibia, who showed their prowess with a shock 1-0 victory over the North Africans on Tuesday. Mali are next in action on Sunday when they face Tunisia. A win will put them into the round of 16. Beautiful play and beautiful national anthems. Remember, AFCON Eco KBC. Now, still on that beat, the first round of group matches at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations ends tonight in Ivory Coast. Morocco, one of the heavily fancied favorites in the continental event, will face Tanzania in the first match of the day at the Stade de San Pedro. This will be the first ever meeting between the two teams at the continental showpiece, although they did square off during the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying campaign. Meanwhile, DR Congo will play against Zambia at 11 p.m. tonight. DR Congo came into this year's tournament hopeful of lifting the Africa Cup of Nations title for the first time in 5 decades, while Zambia last appeared in the continental showpiece back in 2015 and will be looking to mark their return with a win.
Walking your way back. That's good. That's it. 5 right, 5 left. Good.
We have come to the end of Channel 1 Lunchtime News. On behalf of the entire team behind this broadcast, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. For more details on Just Add News and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma. On sign language interpretation, we have Anne Wangeshi. Till some other time, God bless you.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Ujambo mpenzi mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1. Nikitumai kwamba huu mzima tangu juma lililopita tulipokuwa pamoja. Ni juma lingine tunakutana kulikunjua jamvi letu la mkulima. Tukiwa tayari kujifunza mbinu tofauti za kufanya kilimo na jinsi ya kufanya kilimo biashara. Kama desturi, mimi ni wako Frederick Mbada. Karibu. Francis na Simon ni wakulima na wafugaji eneo la Juja. Basi hii leo basi letu liliabiri na kutua nanga katika eneo hili la Juja, haswa Juja Farm. Nao wakatufunza jinsi ya kukuza nyasi aina ya Super Napier Pakchong 1. Karibu shambani ujione.
Chakula kizuri kwa mifugo kama vile mbuzi na ng'ombe haswa za maziwa barani Afrika, kwani huweza kukua kwa kutumia kiwango kidogo cha maji na madini, hivyo kufaa maeneo kame pia.
Ni shambani kwetu ambapo tunakuza aina tofauti za nyasi, na haswa sisi ni wafugaji wa kondoo, mbuzi, sungura, na pia tunapenda upanzi wa miti na pia kuweza kusaidia wakulima wenzetu.
Ukuzi wao wa nyasi ulianza kitambo kidogo, tangu mbugwa na kakake wakiwa wadogo. Hapo awali walikuwa wafugaji wa mbuzi na ng'ombe, na waliona jinsi kupata chakula cha mifugo wao ilikuwa kibarua kweli.
Na vile tulikuwa tunafuga, jambo la kwanza tuliloona linasumbua sana ni tulikuwa tunabidi tunaenda tunatafuta nyasi kwa majirani. Na hiyo nyasi ya kutafuta kila wakati haikuwa ya kuleta raha, kwa sababu haswa unakimbizwa ama hata unakosa ile nyasi ambayo inafaa. Na pia hatukuwa tunaweza kupata chakula ya mifugo kwa kila wakati throughout the year. Unapata kuna nyasi tu wakati ambao kuna mvua. After that unapata hakuna chakula hata moja, na inabidi mwape mifugo zile nyasi ambazo zinapatikana kama hizi banana stalks ambazo hazina nutritional value mzuri kwa mifugo, na ng'ombe wanaendelea kudhoofika. Ndio tukaweza kuzindua na tukaweza kujua kweli kama sisi tunataka kuwa wakulima ambao wanajua kweli kile wanachofanya. Jambo la kwanza ni kutafuta nyasi ambazo tutaweza kuwa nazo throughout the year, na pia nyasi ambazo ziko na manufaa kwa mifugo wetu.
Basi ndio maana walipoamua kuvulia nguo kilimo na ufugaji kisawasawa, waliamua kupanda aina mbalimbali za nyasi, haswa nyasi hizi za Napier.
Aina ya kwanza ya nyasi ambayo tuko nazo ni Napier grasses. Tuko pia na nyasi zinaitwa Bracharia. Tuko na aina ingine ya nyasi ambayo inaitwa Siambaza grass ama Mombasa grass. Tuko pia na nyasi ambayo inaitwa